NATO celebrated its 70th birthday, and Mike Pence used the opportunity to chastise Germany for not paying enough into the military budget. All member states have signed a contract setting the target spending at 2% of the GDP. Germany is paying much less. And as we know, our entire forces are broken. We hardly have any vehicles and submarines, helicopters that actually function. In addition to that, our defense minister Ursula von der Leyen is embroiled in a corruption scandal. She does not know the ties of her job. She is completely unqualified, never served, and is spending millions and millions of euros into advisory contracts by KPMG, where her son works. So 3 hours later, our foreign minister Heiko Maas answered to Mike Pence and said Germany is going to spend all the 1.5% of the GDP. Now, if you listened carefully, you have noticed that 1.5% is significantly smaller than 2%. But if you have enough confidence and there are 3 hours in between, and you are a minister who is never questioned by the media, you can say such things without blushing. It was followed by a propaganda technique that I want to introduce and that I find more important than the actual issue at hand here. And that is that he claimed outsiders. He meant Mr. Pence, but he did not name him outsiders. And even some insiders have a hard time to understand the difficult budgeting procedure in Germany. This is an example of an overall technique our elites use. They claim that whatever they do is so sophisticated, so intelligent, so smart that your ordinary person, your average citizen, cannot understand it. It excludes the population from democratic participation. And they do this by claiming that our world is becoming ever more complex. This is a phrase they use again and again. The world is becoming ever more complex. Of course, that's rubbish. Natural sciences have always been complex. There is really nothing in administration or in other fields that require more complexity than there was before. If anything, we have better tools now, better communication systems, and better access to information to make our way through complexity. Yet our elites claim that everything becomes ever more complex and therefore you must not talk about it. Maas, and not just him, but it has become a widespread phenomenon, claims that populism is the reduction of complexity to easy answers. This is another propaganda phrase, easy answers. They use the word populism, which is hardly ever used by anybody else outside Steve Bannon, and claim and define it in various newspaper articles as meaning being stupid and giving easy answers to complex problems. Of course, that's rubbish, and if you are into mathematics, you know that intelligent people usually call easy answers elegant. And this speaks to a problem of the human soul, and maybe I just go even a step further and do not just speak about the abuse for propaganda, but speak about the issue of how we defy criticism and even self-reflection by claiming that things are more difficult and more complex than they actually are. And if you have checked my older videos, you have noticed maybe that I'm dropping weight at the moment. And the fatter a person is, the more advisory books he or she has on the shelves. And this is because it is easier for us to claim that losing weight is a terribly difficult thing, and that we must have special recipes, schedule our eating times. So we have 1,000 excuses why a diet must be complex, and we use this excuse to eat like mad after the diet is over. if you want to lose weight, you just have to throw out esoterics. You just eat less. I mean, these studies are all very questionable, and you have to look into it more deeply to sort out what makes sense and what doesn't. Women magazines don't do that, and your average advisory books also don't do that. And you don't have to do this. You have to burn more calories than you actually eat. And that is basically all you need to know. But to avoid losing weight and to have an excuse for gaining weight again after you had gone through that terrible period, you must claim that your diet is complex and that nobody can advise you. Your body is so special, and it is funny to see when it's one person that does it. But when the elite starts doing this, when democracy becomes something that is so complex and you cannot speak about it, and also every country is different, that's another propaganda technique, and this is a distraction. We are all comparable, and we all just find 1,000 excuses for not doing what needs to be done. The entire conservative side is always claimed to be too complex. We want to reduce the power of the state. That's too complex. We want to say that you do not need the EU just to cut tariffs and to have student exchange programs. You can have that without an entire legislation that goes on without the interference of any elections. You can have democracy and these two things. You do not need a complexity which actually just is hiding the power center in Brussels, right? So when we say something, when we suggest something, the answer from the elites is always, no, we are doing something that's so complex and you must not talk about it. That was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.